The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Well, after coming back from Pakistan, he came back, he left as Barry Soetoro, and he came back as Barack Obama. That's truly amazing.
And you're talking about, you mean the refinding of his Muslim roots? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know about refinding of Muslim roots. I can't point to that. There's no evidence in that. We've never called him anything except Barack Obama. I know people say tendency to have Muslim roots. If you're in an Indonesian country, I guess you have to have some kind of tie to Muslim roots. If you went to an Indonesian school, I guess you would have to be subject to some kind of Muslim service or way of being brought up. But we have no evidence of that other than, reports, people being there now.
We have evidence.
What?
The evidence is
What,
really
you have
simple.
a smoking gun?
It's the registration documentation from the school, which says that
I've seen that. Why don't you go into that a little bit? I've seen that, and I've read that.
His religion is put down as Islam to get into the school. He actively was a practicing Muslim for the years that he was in school in Indonesia. And I don't know too many people who are Christians who, fake their way through all of the rigors of 5 times a day praying. And of course, he stated publicly that the sweetest sound that he'd ever heard was the call to prayer. And having the right accent and calling it, which is interesting in and of itself. But, you have a man who's taken on a persona and has played many different roles. And I really wonder if he even knows who he really is. Is he that, damaged a person in his psyche that he doesn't really know who he is?
I'd like to remind the audience, this has been on my blog. We have where'sobamansbirthcertificate.com, and then I have a blog associated with that. You can go to the website, click on the blog on the top, sort of in the middle, or you can go to where'sobamansbirthcertificate.com/blog. On the right-hand toolbar, if you scroll down, for some reason, I put this up. Glenn Beck, who claims he's not a birther, actually, he says that we're all crazy. We have to show him one piece of evidence, he says. Anyway, the day before the last election, the last presidential election, on the Blaze, Glenn put out that Indonesian school certificate registration form that Jim has just talked about. I have it there on my blog. You can click on it and enlarge it and read it, and it says just what he says. And it is what it is. We didn't make it up. It's been verified to be true. It just adds one more thing to the puzzle. I want to stop here for 1 minute. I want to take a call too, Jim. We have a couple of calls waiting, and you are going to be on for a while. Any other president, and I'm not talking about George Bush. This is not about George Bush. Any other president besides Barack Obama, or besides what the progressive left wants, or who they want, that would have been the end of it. That would have been the end of the presidential candidacy for that person. Any one of these things would have been the end of it. They would have stalked, haunted, trailed, 24/7, pushed, dug up any information they came, and that candidate would have been out. But because it's Barack Hussein Obama, it's all looked aside. It's well beyond any kind of reasonable doubt. It would make a person insane when you put it all together, and they didn't know about this, and you told them that. Anyway, do you agree with that, Jim? With all the little things adding up?
Oh, absolutely. And there's so much more about the man's life. There's so much more about his associations and the multitude of strange things. If we want to, and strange would be a mild word. A more extreme word would be treasonous things, treacherous things, traitorous things. Those would be the words that I would use directly based on what I know. And when you go to China and you discover that his brother is a partner with the intelligence community of the People's Liberation Army in the internet business, owning internet cafes where in fact hack attacks on the internet in America come from, you got to say to yourself, wait a minute here, that's the guy's brother?
Good point. Good point. And we're going to get into that a little later on here. Jim, we're really on the move here. I just want to take one or two quick calls while the callers are waiting on hold. I don't like them to wait too long. Okay, I'm going to move on here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to go, and once again, the lovely Ruth is in the call screening room. I want to thank her for that. And later on in the second hour, we're going to have Mickey Booth on, and tomorrow night it's going to be Viviano Patino, and then the second hour will be Rudy Davis. And if you want to get a hold of us tonight, it's 347-989-8853. Okay, with that, Pam in Wisconsin, get ready. I'm going to bring you on here. Pam in Wisconsin, you're on with Dr. Jim Garrow.
Hi, how are you? I have a question. I'm just wondering about national security and how come it's not just presented as a national security issue? I don't seem to think that this is a political issue. It's more on a national security issue. And another thing, he said in one of his books, The Audacity of Hope, that if the winds had changed, changed something to the effect that if the winds had changed and they became ugly, he would go with the Muslims. Well, I mean, that's more or less just saying whatever happens, he's going to go with the Muslims, He's going to be nice until, of course, the winds change, and then he's going to be probably as ruthless as we see in the Mideast that the Muslims can be. And I think it's just a matter of time. And he said that himself. This is not my saying that. That's him saying it. So he already said that he would be with the Muslims. And this is a national security issue. This is not a political issue. And John Kennedy, the President of the United States, what I always defuse when people say, oh, you're conservative, I say, what about John Kennedy? He was a great American. He loved America. Many Americans loved him. We have somebody in our White House who he's destroying our country.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right.
Thank you for the call, Pam.
Yeah, can I answer that call?
Yes, you can.
Oh, great, and she's absolutely right, Pam. You're on the money. We had a great president who spoke to the whole issue of our loyalties and where our loyalties should lie. And I mean, he said it very, very well about the fact that we should all be Minutemen, which means that we're prepared to fight if need be, to take up arms for the cause of America. And that's not coming from somebody who was considered to be a right-winger, and yet he was a middle-of-the-road, really, by today's standards, he was a middle-of-the-road American patriot. And look how he was dealt with. But you're right. Look at Mr. Obama has decided that NASA its purpose is no longer to go where no man has gone before and to excite the nation and to go out and explore things that need to be explored in space. Now it's to mollify the Muslim nations and to make them feel good about themselves. You've seen so many things that have twisted the original purposes that Mr. Obama has decided that's appropriate and that's the direction he wants to take the nation. So Sharia law is starting to peak up all over the place. And it's because these people now feel emboldened to go and make demands because they feel that they have a Muslim brother in the White House.
Thank you, Dr. Garrow. About the Muslim issue, I have to be careful about that. I've grown up with Muslims my entire life. They've been in this country for years, never a problem. Only because now we have President Obama in there. They're going to use that as an excuse, as a way of attacking us. Oh, you don't like Obama because you think he's a Muslim or he likes Muslims. No, we don't. It's not we don't like Obama because of that. There's a birth certificate out there. This has nothing to do with Muslim or the Jewish religion or any religion or the Buddhist religion or any religion at all. It's nothing to do about Muslim. And yes, you're probably right about that. I do remember the comment when the administrator of NASA, I don't remember his name, did say that the president asked him that. And I thought it was kind of strange that we toned down the space program. I could see now that the privatization is actually taking off. We've got people out there testing rockets all the time, and before you know it, we can just hop in a rocket and say, let's go to Mars, put the meter on, cabby, and there we are. I'm glad that we're able to do that and privatize that for space exploration. That should create a lot of jobs. Pam was also right with the security issue. If he's not eligible, with all these aliases, being in this place, having this name, going one place, coming back with another name, being adopted, going to this school, going to that school, he was this person, he was that person. I mean, that's got to be pretty scary to, I don't know how he even made it this far. Okay, let's see. Let's move on. Jim, you want to cover anything else? Let's see, we were talking about, Frank Marshall Davis. I think that's where we were.
Well, keep in mind that this young lady, his mother, was pregnant, was underage, went over to Kenya, and in Kenya, what people are telling us, of course, the grandmother and people in the village say that he was born there, in Kenya. There are many people who say that Frank Marshall Davis is in fact the father, and that's neither here nor there really. The long and the short of it is that if he was born in Kenya, is he eligible to be president of the United States? Is he? I'm asking the host.
No.
No. It's fairly simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because then he was in a British protectorate, not under the jurisdiction of the United States. And birth, being born of the mother and father who were American, well, she couldn't confer American citizenship because she was a minor. If she had been of age, that could have been transferred over, but she wasn't.
Let me ask you this question. I'm trying to put it, okay, you asked me if he was born in Kenya, would he be eligible? No, growing up in grade school, we know that. We know why that was done. That was done when our country was formed, to make sure that the President of the United States was loyal to this country, had no influence to any other country. We were still growing. We still had to watch our backs from the British. Let's say Obama wasn't Obama. He was a person that we just knew about, because we've never questioned any other presidential candidate in history. We just knew where their roots were. They had a timeline. We knew where they grew up. You could tell. Everybody knew him. They worked, as they grew up, worked in a hardware store, worked their way through school, etc. Let's say it was candidate A. Let's say it was John Kennedy, and his parents were called to duty, military, and they went to Kenya. And while their parents were serving in the military, he was born on a military base in Kenya. Would he be eligible for presidency?
Yeah, he would. Yeah, because his parents would take with them citizenship, and they were stationed in service of the country. So the son would have been born as an American citizen. The transferring of that citizenship from both parents assured that. The fact that they were serving as diplomats or whatever that might be, military folks, that would also secure citizenship.